Alright everyone, if the webcam freezes up a little during this video, not my fault. My computer's doing that fucky thing again, which means I have to reinstall everything for the 10th goddamn time. But we gotta talk about the Barr-Rosenstein sort of stuff, the Mueller report, the obstruction and collusion probe, and its monumental end. Because yesterday, if you watched the press conference where Barr is standing there, AG Barr, and then Rosenstein, Rosenstein looked shell-shocked, like, you could tell he didn't want to be there. Now, some people on the left are like, oh, he's under duress. He knows that Trump is guilty and he has to stand by this botched report. No, I'll tell you why he's nervous. I'll tell you why he was standing on a stage he clearly didn't want to stand on. I think that AG Barr took him aside and said, look, you're going to help me present this, and you're going to answer some questions. Because you helped to trigger a 2-year-long witch hunt bullshit probe that cost $30 million. Now, do you want to get fired and lose your pension, or would you rather just fucking play nice for a while? You can retire and do your own thing. That's what I think ultimately happened. And Rosenstein's like, yeah, that pension is pretty lucrative. So I think that I'll just, I'll spend an hour up on stage with the dude I obviously don't want to be next to. Because here's the thing. Rosenstein was at the center of the whole thing the whole time. He told Congress he couldn't even remember whether he read the FISA warrant before signing it. Big fucking mistake to even talk about that before Congress, because in other words, either you're totally corrupt, you read it, you knew it was bullshit, and put it forth anyway. That's not good news. Or you're inept because you didn't read it at all. Well, I would think that would be arguably even worse. Honestly, to be that ineffectual, to be in a position of significant power, and not even read a legal document before signing, like take fucking 10 minutes of your time to read a few pages before you decide to rubber stamp it off from the FISA court. It's total bullshit. And by the way, yes, this is a total and complete exoneration of Donald Trump. After 2 years and carte blanche investigating him and his entire campaign, his inner circle, his business partners, his friends, his family, no significance was found to the claim that there was any form of collusion between any Russian asset and anybody in that group of people. Not a single connection was found. And so Barkan said, yeah, the Russians tried to meddle in the election, but it didn't involve any attempt to infiltrate the US political system internally. It was an external effort by shitposting trolls, basically. In other words, fucking get over it. But the Democrats won't, and they're already setting the stage not to. There were some people saying it's time to impeach after this dropped, and I'm like, impeach him for what? What in this report? This report shows, in fact, the opposite of the idea that you'd be able to impeach him. In order to impeach him, you have to have some sort of reason. You have the opposite right now. You have reasons not to impeach specifically. If a person is investigated by a group that has virtually complete power for 2 years to the tune of $30 million, and they don't find jack shit. They don't even find jack shit in your inner circle beyond some dude who laundered money 10 years before he was even part of your political campaign. If that's the most significant thing they find after investigating thousands of people, trust me, my friend, you are very squeaky clean. It's cleaner than most people if they were investigated that way. The left will just say, you watch, the next thing that they'll default to is, well, he's just good at covering his tracks. He bought off Mueller. Mueller was compromised. They'll throw him under the bus just like they are Rosenstein. See, it's like half of them are saying, well, he's under duress. Oh, he has to stand behind this shitty report because Trump is threatening him or his family or something. Which is like, that's a scummy way to think, number one. Or number two, they're saying, well, no, Rosenstein sold out. He was with Trump the whole time. It's very funny how that happens now, isn't it? You know, their Wonder Boy there that they thought would take him down is... The collusion investigation was never going to take down Trump anyway. And I told these people that for 2 years. I'm like, what are you even bothering wasting your time for? There was no collusion. It's as plain as day that the claim is false because it's based on a bullshit premise. The investigation was never based on an actual solid foundation. It was based on op research that was done by bouncing articles from one source to another and from one group to another by Christopher Steele on behalf of the Clinton campaign, in order to create a false reality in which Trump did crazy shit, like Pissgate and stuff like that. It was fake. It was always fake. But somebody at the FBI, when they got a hold of it, man, they thought it was real. And then, it was a series of unfortunate events that got it all the way to a Mueller probe starting. Yeah, and those people are in big trouble. Lisa Page coming out saying, oh, no, there's no other evidence. No, just the Steele dossier. Yeah, it's a bullshit claim when the deep state is saying that there was something more substantial. It's actually not true at all. I believe her. She threw Sturzak there under the bus, which was funny, but, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's very funny. It's also funny to see people attacking Barr. See, they have shifting goalposts. When he released his letter and he's like, no collusion was found, no obstruction was found, we'll give you a redacted report in a while, but basically, take my word for it. They're like, no, we can't trust Barr. He's a Trump appointee. We can't trust the Attorney General to be unbiased, so we need more in his letter. We need, the report. And I said, did I not say then that when they release the report, it'd be heavily redacted? There's a reason for that. And the Democrats love it. They love that Barr is in there. They waited specifically to tell Mueller to end the probe until there was a Trump appointee there for plausible deniability when the probe went nowhere. But here's the thing. Under the Fourth Amendment, if they do a criminal investigation into a bunch of people, and most of those people, they're not indicted, they're not charged with anything, they're not even necessarily suspected of anything, they're just pertinent. You can't start revealing intimate details of their private business and financial and political lives to the public. You have to redact that material. And so when you have these big black redacted lines, it looks suspicious to people who think that Trump is guilty from the get-go. But Trump's doing a victory lap. It was funny. He posts on Twitter. He has the game over thing with the Game of Thrones font and stuff like that. And it's funny to see Krasenstein's like, you're going to get sued by Game of Thrones. I thought that, it's like sour grapes, dude. The investigation is over. At this point, if you continue it, it's nothing more than a Benghazi moment for the Democrats. It's going to blow up in your faces. Just like it did the congressional Republicans so long ago, except at least then there was some smoke to indicate there might be a fire. Here, the only evidence you had from the get-go was op research done by the Clinton campaign. That they successfully, by the way, and they hoodwinked me into believing this, successfully blamed on the Jeb Bush campaign. Apparently that wasn't true either. It's just a pile of bullshit from top to bottom. A big pile of bullshit. That's smelly. It's beginning to smell worse than a Nancy Pelosi after a 3-day coke binge. Now, what more is there to say? The Mueller probe's over. Thankfully, we can get back to realistic things to talk about. That's about all. Peace out.